Hi, my name is Heaven Jones. I am an artist from Miami, Florida. This presentation is based on my lecture given at Books Unbanned. The official video will be uploaded to my YouTube channel around Wednesday or Thursday, but due to this application being due on Monday, I wanted to share a little bit more about my practice, share a little bit more about my thesis, my ethos, and a little bit more about me just so we can connect beyond the application and beyond my CV. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, essentially, collection plate is an ethos or an idea that I came up with. And if you grew up in the black church, you know about the collection plate or giving back your tithes. That's not even only prevalent in the black church, but any church almost. In the Christian church, you're usually supposed to give 10%. It can be of your time, sometimes of your money, just anything that you have. And when I think about looking into my childhood and my young adulthood and now my adulthood, I saw that that was a prevalent moment for me because coming into my adulthood, I'm like, wow, I don't have maybe this or maybe that, but you have something. Sometimes that is just simply showing up. And so in my practice, I focus on creating memorial gates. Sometimes it's for family members, sometimes it's for community members. Sometimes I receive premonitions and I'll do them for individuals that I will have to do a lot of research about. So it's really fun and it's very interesting, but essentially, collection plate is just a collection of memorial sites for individuals that have thus transitioned. So here you will be able to see my mock-up for my submission for Burn Away. So essentially it's a metal gate, and in these metal gates you'll see like, oh, this looks familiar. It's because if you're from Miami or if you're from like a middle to lower class home, you'll see that these type of gates are really prevalent. You'll see them in the front yard, you'll see them around the backyard, you'll just see them everywhere in Miami. And this is reminiscent of my story, my childhood, and where I'm from. So on these gates, you'll see some haint blue balloons. The haint blue is reminiscent to spirituality. I am a practitioner within hoodoo, so I work within magic. I work within calling on ancestors and ancestor veneration. So within these balloons, you'll see some image transfers, or you will also see some mementos. You'll see some water, some dirt, some rocks as well, just to pay homage to the spirits. So a little background story about the color haint blue. In New Orleans, you'll see a lot of people paint the roofs on their porches, or sometimes even their porches haint blue. And haint blue is meant to basically cast away unwanted spirits. So when a spirit will come to your front door, they'll mistake the color as the ocean and they'll kind of get turned around and lost. So it welcomes good spirits, but also takes around spirits that may not want the best for you. So I thought it would be really cool to place 9 resin casted balloons that are filled with mementos, maybe filled with some graveyard dirt, as well too, into these balloons, and to put them on the metal fencing. For me, metal fencing or different doorways represent thresholds. Like I say in hoodoo, I do a thing called the salt and cinnamon cliz, and that's basically to bring in more abundance, but I blow cinnamon into my door, and that also brings in some abundance. I say, oh, when I walk into this room, when I cross this door, I hope to bring in new ideas. I hope to bring in a positive mindset or different things like that. So doors are thresholds for me, and they're really important and essential to my practice. Doors are thresholds, doors are portals, and they can lead you to anywhere. You don't know what's on the other side, but you know on the other side, sometimes you just want positivity or goodness. So I really wanted to put that into my practice in the form of large sculptures. So this is like my mock-up, and this is what was accepted. So I practice ancestor veneration. I also practice venerating spaces that people have taken up. So within my submission, you'll not only see people, but you'll see places. So you'll see the USA Flea, you'll see Rainbow Village, you'll see the Beans. So these are places that are essential to Miami, but who are the people that have lived in these places? Who are the people that patronize these businesses? And they aren't here anymore, so how can we pay homage to them? Not always paying homage to the most known person is also within my practice. What is the mundane stories? Who are the people that we're overlooking? And, sometimes people didn't change 3 million people's lives, but sometimes maybe somebody changed 300 people's lives. And I just want to unpack that. I want to discover that. And I want to learn a little bit more about people that I pass by on the street, or maybe pass me by on the street, or someone that I never seen a day in my life but have changed someone's life. Is a grandmother, is a sister, is an uncle. I'm just overall really interested in these stories. So I can share a little bit more about how I got into this. I focus on death in the South and mourning rituals. So it can be what goes into a mourning ritual. It can be a wake. It can be a fish fry. It can be the junkanoo. It can be mourning sounds. So it's so many different things that play into funeral work, the transition from life to death, and all the decisions in between and feelings in between. So I find that really beautiful, and I love to capture it in physical pieces and also in sound. So I will continue a little bit more about myself. So I'm focused on a 4-year research project, and it's also called Collection Plate, where I travel to different parts of the South and I learn about different black individuals or individuals of color that have transitioned. What's their background? I go to their family homes and I sit and I get to learn a lot more about them. I get to go through their family archives. I get to go to the funeral homes that probably have more information about them, because funeral homes hold so many essential pieces to genealogy. So I get to really sit with these individuals. Sometimes I can even sometimes I do go to cemeteries as well too, and I get to speak and I get to see not only themselves, but the individuals that are buried around them. It might be a lover, it might be their daughter. You never know, but within this, I get to unpack it. So here you'll see like why Miami and why now. One, I'm from Miami, so I'm starting here in Florida. And now I am a partial owner to a funeral home here in Florida. So if you see this building, you'll see it's on 1212 Northwest 79th Street. And it's not a mundane building. It's a building that I own, and I've owned it since I was a child. But outside of that, it's now becoming a funeral home. And before that, it was a morgue. And after the morgue, it was my art studio. So being in this place that I saw as a child, and now being here, and it's like, oh, a funeral home, very interesting. But at the same time, before I even knew it was going to be a funeral home, I was really interested in death work and mourning rituals. So I thought it was something really special to be able to take on and to now be in my family. And now I'm able to have this additional knowledge in my pocket or in my lineage. It's very interesting, but I think it's also something that's very beautiful. So here you'll see my sculpture, which is called The Pearly Gate, and you'll see an image of my grandma, which is Hyson Jones. She passed in 2023, and on this sculpture you'll see a shirt, or, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better, but you'll see a shirt, and that was the last family reunion shirt that she was able to attend and wear. We are Bahamian, so I'm of Bahamian descent, and so we go to the Bahamas every 2 years to celebrate our lineage and our family. And so in 2022, she was able to travel with us and have a great time. And then 2023, she transitioned due to cancer. So my grandmothers are both very essential to who I am as a woman. And then just, they birthed my parents. So I think that is very much a job and a duty, So on the sculpture, you'll see some metal fencing that was turned gold. And I was able to use resin casted shirt as well too. And then behind the gate, you'll see some shirts as well too. You'll see family reunion shirts from my families, also gathered from community members. You'll see some homegoing shirts that we were able to be gifted from the North Miami fleet. This piece is, like I said, is a threshold. And for me, on the other side of this gate, it's like not only me, not only my grandmother, but it's extended beyond her. It's her mothers and her fathers and her forefathers. and individuals that are just no longer here. If it's community members, it's who are these people and who birthed them as well too. So it's something very special and spiritual on the other side of this gate. So it's a conversation that the viewer is able to have, and also they're having the conversation with this spiritual realm on the other side. So in the middle of the gate, you'll see born, bred, and shed in the South. So I can talk about that a little bit. So in 2024, I had an idea about things that we shed. So our hair, our nails, our teeth, and then our family name. And then I reimagined them in braids and bundles, grills, red acrylic nails, and homegoing tees. So the homegoing tees are reflective of the contraction and the expansion of the Black family name here in Florida, because my grandmother came as a baby from Bahamas to get a better life with her mother. So it's like, as you expand, our families come here and they have more children, but they also contract because individuals transition to the spiritual realm. So on this gate, it allows a form of public mourning. I'm really inspired by different memorial sites that you'll see on the street. You'll also see them the drive safely ones as well too. So those are things that really inspire me, but I'm also really inspired by the home because it can tell a lot about an individual. So that's why I say gates, and those are something that are really, interesting to me. So at the bottom of this sculpture, you will also see a lot of obituaries. So this is my only altar. Well, not my only altar now, but this is my public altar, and I have a private altar which is within my home. So in Hoodoo, or just any religion, but in my personal practice, you would do ancestor veneration. Ancestor veneration is calling upon your ancestors, giving them praise. As well too, you can give them different things such as like water, alcohol, coffee. You can give them snacks and treats and food. You can eat with them and you can talk with them. And it's a way of paying homage to them and letting them know, hey, I'm here and I see you and I hope you see me too. And sometimes you can call on them to give you things or for protection or just to conversate or just to feel less alone. So I utilize that within my practice. I am a very spiritual person, and that is what I use to fuel me and to keep going. So you'll see a lot of obituaries from my godfather, my two grandmothers, my uncles, and a few more individuals as well too. You'll see some white candles, which are essence of like fire. So you can use the different four elements on your altars to venerate your ancestors as well. So you can have a piece of earth, some type of air, fire and water. And those are elements to like kind of call upon your loved one. So it's something very beautiful and very special to me. So I'll give a little bit more of historical context. So this installation reflects the loss of names and the identities during slavery, as far as like us transitioning over here. And then now I'm able to highlight how us as individuals show up here, and when we pass, what is something that is a threshold that our family members can like talk with and walk through. How can they communicate with you? As well too. So I utilize that within my practice and I love it and I really enjoy it. So ancestor veneration as an art practice, an archive, and a spiritual ritual. Here you'll see some inspiration. Lonnie Johnson, A Requiem for a Black Girl, amazing artist. If you're scoring this application, you know about her. Talented. So, and then this is another altar that I was able to see. His name is LJ. Yes, LJ. He passed away in London, and he was really young, so it's really sad. And I hope he's resting well. But I was really also inspired by his memorial site that it would consist of Hennessy bottles, some pig flowers, some imagery of him, and as well as a few other things. And I was just like, wow. This is something that is so beautiful for someone that is so young. And I added a gate here because I was just kind of like, how would this exist? Like, I thought it was really interesting because the crossroads also comes up in my practice, because at the crossroads you can handle a lot in spirituality. So I'll put that out there. And it was sitting outside, and it was also on like a walkway. So it just made me a lot more reminiscent of public mourning, because when I was walking, it made me stop and it made me say a little prayer for him. So these are the effects that I want my practice to have for other people. Other people are here to not only pay homage to whoever memorial site I made, but also they can have a moment of rest or a moment of peace to give thanks and to prayers. This is the father to one of my best friends, Lenny Ozias. And she's like mini big boss now. But she invited me to a veneration ceremony for her dad, a celebration of life. He passed away in November. And then his birthday was also in November. So we were able to just kind of celebrate him. She put out some cake for him. She put out some white candles for him. And she was able to also put out some foods for him. And within like the foods, it's like a Haitian dish that you really like. And you put some water, you put some fire, you burn your incense, and you have an image. So these are the different elements that I talked about earlier. Yeah, so I just thought it was something really beautiful, and I felt very honored to be invited to. And I was able to share a little bit more about his life during my time of the lecture. Yeah, so I thought it was something just really cool to add to this practice. And as I continue this presentation or talking a little bit more about my practice, it's just something really essential to know that I get to be invited to moments like this. When individuals pass, I go and say prayers for them, or I help people get through mourning as well. So it's not only going in and collecting ephemera, collecting images, but it's like going in and actually talking and getting to know people. It's a process from beginning to end, so everybody can feel cared for, and I can respect the individual that has transitioned as well as their family. So in my art practice, I'm like really defining what does collection plate look like for me. It's not only large sculptures, but it's also learning how to make my own collection plates, which is something that I'm very excited to do. When I grew up in church, we'll have two different types of collection plates because I grew up Christian and Catholic. So that's also a very interesting thing with me. In my Christian church, I grew up with these small, very round gold collection plates with some velvet on the inside. And then in the Catholic church, we'll have very long wooden baskets on a long stick. So I thought how collection plates show up for in different churches or different religions. I thought that was really interesting as well. So being able to either weave them out of materials or create them out of metal is something that I'm very much looking forward to. And embedding different imagery through image transfer or beading is something that I'm also looking to embed into my practice going forward. So my research comes from families and family archives. So like how I said, when different individuals pass, I'm called to funerals. I'm also called to funeral homes. And through that, I'm able to sit and talk with the different individuals and their families. Sometimes I'm invited into the homes. Sometimes they'll call me and I get to go through photo albums and ask, who is this? And then who is this? And how do they know each other? And how long have they been married? So here you'll see my great-grandfather. He has thus transitioned, but my great-grandmother is alive and well, so we thank God for that. But this is J.L. Walker, and he is pictured in our family reunion shirt. This, I think, happened in 2003. He also passed, I think, in 2003 as well, too. Actually, yeah, 2002. And he passed in 2003. So this is from my mom's family photo album because she is the collector of that. And on the back of photos, which you'll find also in a lot of archives, you'll see that it's not only the history, but you can find the history just through the writing on the back and the date. And that can tell you so much, sometimes even location. You can find out so much from an individual. So it's something that really, gets me going. So some more research and context that utilize churches. So churches are more of a genesis. They are the beginning and the end. So I look at them as a source to understand oh, this is somebody's home church. They were born here and they were raised here. So I can go and give more information about them. I can go and see when were they baptized, what year were they baptized, and then when was their funeral. I get to point these dots and like connect these little lines as well too. But the church is like another spiritual liminal space as well too, and it shows up a lot in the black in the black family. So that's why I utilize church records. Within my own practice. So you'll see Little Rock Baptist Church. This is my family's plot. I just got to see my grandfather for the first time. He passed in 1988, way before I was born. But this is him. You'll see Little Rock Baptist Church. This is my family's plot. I just got to see my grandfather for the first time. He passed in 1988, way before I was born. But this is him next to his brothers, and I learned that we have our own family plot, which I think that is really, I think that it's very special because you look out and you just say, oh, these are all of our family members, and it's only for our family. So I think that that is like a sense of ownership and a sense of foundation that I have within myself and the present and in the afterlife, that I am not only going to be in a place that I don't know people in, but it's like a big party, it can be a little bit morbid, but that's how I see my practice. It's like a union or coming together. So the church and the cemetery are places that I exist in and that are really special to me, because it has context, it has energy, and I like to pull from those things. Little Rock Baptist Church is also a church owned by my family that sits on the cemetery grounds. So here you'll see J.W. Williams Funeral Home, and is very reminiscent. This image is very reminiscent of this book right here, which is called The Harlem Book of the Dead. I utilize this a lot in my practice. These are images by James Vandersea. I'll talk a little bit more about this book soon. But I thought that James Vandersea was the only person that was known to take images at funerals, but I see that is a constant and consistent practice. James Vandersea coined it because he did some double exposure and he made them look even more lifelike and they were even more extravagant. But this is the way that people are able to keep records, death records as well too. So I thought that that was really interesting. Here you'll see even more ephemera from the black community. So you'll see Negro spirituals, and you'll see church fans. So like I said before, my project collection plate also consists of There Will Be Joy in the Mourning, which is a sonic installation in a way. So people are able to sit in a blackout curtain S type of room with some headphones, and there they will put on the headphones and they'll be able to hear loops and sounds of songs that are sung at funerals. So I go to funerals and I also record the songs that are sung there, and then I match them up with healing frequencies so people can be able to have another moment of silence for their loved one, but walk out feeling differently than what they came in. So this is why I also am just like very interested in like, how does mourning show up in the body? Is it more head? Is it more heart? Is it more stomach? Because these are places that anxiety lies. So death is like a very unsure space for all of us. We don't know what's there. So how can I be of assistance? How can my work be of assistance to move you in a way, not only visually, but sonically? So my practice, you'll see, as I said, the Harlem Book of the Dead, and then you'll also see Passed On, Passed On African American Mourning Stories. So these two. I have a few other books by some other artists. This is Funeral Homes, 26 funeral homes. These are funeral homes that are found in Miami. So cool. So these are just books that are essential, but here you'll see like the Harlem Book of the Dead, Passed On, and the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So, like I said, death is just within my practice, mourning rituals within my practice. So, during my time of exploring the funeral home, I came across these books, which is restoration art and raw colors and cosmetics, because you have to do a lot of restoration and burial work. So, I just figure out, how does mourning just show up for us, and what goes into having somebody look, at rest and at peace. So I asked a question during my lecture about, how do you honor the deceased? This is in the embalming room at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. I thought that it was something very interesting. He allowed me to explore and ask all the questions. So thank you, Mr. Parker. He's amazing. So I was be able to see these two tables, which is his embalming station, for vets and for civilians. And then I was also able to see the changing room, and I was just able to ask, just more questions about his own personal practice, because to me this is art, and it's hard art. Like, this is art, and I asked him, I'm like, does this get like kind of weird for you? And he says, no, I've been doing death work since I was 9, so this is the only thing that I know. And I said, wow, so it's just something so special about our practices and how they work with each other, because he works in the practical and I work in the spiritual. So me asking him these questions informs my practice, but him being also able to ask me questions informs his practice as well. So it's a very symbiotic relationship. And when I was able to explore a little bit more, I learned a lot more about caskets, but I also learned that people use funeral homes as a form of genealogy research. So here you can go date back as far as like the, maybe like early 1900s, about who was done here and where they're buried, because funeral homes also take you to your final resting place. So you get to learn more, and you get to expand your research, and people are able to keep these records that are so important. So here you'll also see that I utilize archives. I utilize archives like ARLIC, the Historic Lyrical Theater, and many more. Within my practice, I get to see art carts and daguerreotypes and obituaries. I'm able to see obituaries that individuals who passed in like the early 2000s, the 90s, and different things like that. I can't wait to see obituaries for people that have probably passed in like the late 1800s or the early 1900s. So these are things that I'm able to reimagine or to see physically and utilize in my practice as well. So here you'll see an image of James Van Der Zee in the Harlem Book of the Dead. So as we say, Books Unbanned is around Black books. And us sharing more about how these books inform our practice. So as you can see, this is more of like the end and the beginning. Does a chicken come before the egg type of thing? But it's like, yeah, this is my practice, and these are books that I utilize. So you'll see James Van Der Zee. You'll see an image of a father with his daughter that has transitioned, and you'll see this poem, and it says, "You always be my baby now, Janlina. Dream sometimes of Papa. When you marry an angel boy, the very best, I'll still attend your wedding." So it's basically this father paying homage to his daughter, and saying that just do your best in this ancestral realm, and when I transition, I hope you meet somebody and I'll be able to attend your wedding, because essentially he'll never be able to attend her wedding in the physical, but in the spiritual, he hopes that he will be able to. So it's like a moment of solace that is able to be seeing these funerals, or or even venerating them. It's so much conversation that happens amongst them, and it's so symbolic. So for me to close out my my video, I want to read something that is essential to my practice. So, preserving memory is a sacred act. Through this project, I aim to honor the everyday rituals, objects, and voices that carry our legacies forward. By documenting these mourning practices, I'm building an archive that isn't just about death, it's about life, care, and beauty that surrounds it. If we don't record our stories, they disappear. And if we don't hold space for our dead, we risk losing parts of ourselves. So, thank you so much for being here with me and sitting through this 45-minute video. But I hope that you got a little bit more about me from this, and I can't wait to share the video from the actual Books Unbanned event. But thank you for getting personal with me.